Welcome to Starting Lineup for Week 34. I'm your host, Jason Saghini. I'm finally back, and of course now Andrew is off gallivanting with the U.S. national team. You can see him later this week on Brazil Bound on MLSsoccer.com, but for now, you have me, and I have fantasy advice. A lot of noticeable players are missing this week. There are a bunch of teams off, there are a bunch of guys suspended, and of course there's national team duty. Some defenders that you should know about: Hassoun Kamara of Montreal, Sheenan Williams of Philadelphia Union, both owned by almost 10%. They are both suspended this week. When you look at the call-ups, though, that's where the real damage is. The Seattle Sounders play 2 games this week, and they're going to be doing it without Brad Evans, without Eddie Johnson. So stocking up on Sounders players, maybe not as easy as it once was. Clint Dempsey, of course, has had this hamstring injury, and oh yeah, when was the last time Clint Dempsey scored a goal for the Sounders? Yeah. Obafemi Martins, he's back at full training, so he looks like one of your better bets this week if you're going with Sounders. Of course, I'm going with Lamar Nagel, DeAndre Yedlin, and Michael Sperning as my triple Sounders combo. The other guy to look at, of course, is Mauro Rosales. I'm not a big fan of Mauro Rosales, and here's why. He's not a 90-minute player. You never know when he's going to play 60 minutes one game, or maybe he's going to play 80 minutes another game. And yes, he does produce, but no Eddie Johnson means nobody to really get on the end of his crosses. I like Lamar Nagel in the air. I think he's underrated in the air, but he's not Eddie Johnson. So that's my why I don't take Mauro Rosales argument. You could take him. He's not a bad choice playing 2 games this week. When you look at your captain, you're probably going to want to pick a captain from the Seattle Sounders. My pick is going to be Lamar Nagel. Here's why. He had 3 straight games scoring a goal, and now he's had 3 straight games without a goal. And you look at what the differences were in there. To me, it's Obafemi Martins. He's going to start up top with Obafemi Martins on Wednesday, and Martins is a very good passer and playmaker. That will benefit Nagel. Even if Clint Dempsey comes into the game and pushes Nagel back to the midfield, and potentially you get a Dempsey-Obafemi Martins start over the weekend against Portland, they're both good passers. They're both guys who can spring Lamar Nagel at goal, so I still like him. I think he's your best bet. If they get a shutout in there, of course, he gets a bonus point for being a midfielder. So for me, your captain choice is Lamar Nagel. Now, I mentioned international call-ups and just a few on the Seattle Sounders. There are a lot that you should know about, and check out MLSsoccer.com/fantasy. Ben Jada will have an update with all the players missing, and you guys will be able to figure out who should be on your roster, who shouldn't. First question coming in from the fans comes from Michael Hickson. He wants to know, should I be picking up Deshaun Brown after that awesome game he had against the Sounders? The answer here, unfortunately, is no. Deshaun Brown may be helping Jamaica try to upset the U.S., but he is not going to be helping the Colorado Rapids when they travel to San Jose. Also, keep in mind, Gabby Torres, he will not be there for the Rapids either, as he'll be with Panama. Also, Dylan Powers likely will not travel to San Jose due to a concussion suffered in last game. So a player to look at here. Remember, the Quakes are going to be without Victor Bernardez in the back. Martin Rivero could see extended minutes here. He could be a good midfield pickup that's a little under the radar, not someone other players in your league will have. You could try to make up some points there if Rivero has a good game on the road against the Quakes. Staying with this game, another question came in about Chris Wondolowski and whether he'd make a good replacement for Higuain or Robbie Keane. Now, I thought long and hard about this one. I do think Wondo is a pretty good pickup this week. I had to make this same decision. I didn't go with Wondo in the end. Without Chavez and without Lenhart, I kind of downgraded Wondolowski just a little bit, and I ended up going with Diego Fagundes. Again, it's not an easy pick here because Fagundes is on the road at Montreal, but I like his schedule afterwards. They have a home-and-home against the Columbus Crew. Fagundes has played well against them last time, and Columbus could be out of it, could start experimenting. Montreal also gave up 11 goals in their last 5 games. To be fair, 3 of them were on the road, but that's a leaky back line that could mean more goals. for the New England Revolution, and of course Diego Fagundes. Also Juan Agudelo back for the Revs. I like him and Fagundes, the way they play together. So again, I don't think either of them is a bad choice. I went with Fagundes over Wondolowski here. Staying with Montreal, this is another one that a lot of fans are asking about because the Impact and the Galaxy both have a double week next week. They play on Wednesday, but it will be affected by the international dates. So this question coming in from Chris Tobin, he asks, who on Montreal is worth picking up besides DeVio? Well, Chris, I have two things for you here. First, we got to talk about DeVio. He left last game in the 60th minute with an injury. His coach said this is something that's been lingering for a little while, so that worries me a little bit. He also missed training on Tuesday. I think DeVio will play over the weekend. There is a question over whether he can play 90 minutes with this lingering injury, though. As far as the answer to your question, I think Jeb Brovsky is an easy answer. He's been picking up points for fantasy owners all season. The issue here is he's on yellow card warning. He picks one up this week against New England, and he's out next week. And how likely is it that he picks up a yellow card against New England? They are a handful going forward with their attack, so it is kind of likely as far as I'm concerned. There's also a chance that this game will get chippy because both teams are really fighting for a playoff spot. So it's risky. I'm going to tell you this. I picked up Brovsky. I'm taking that risk. Matteo Ferrari, another guy you could look at in the same boat. He's also on yellow card warning. Other guys you can check out here, I would say Bernier and Felipe in the midfield. Both of them are decent pickups here, but Bernier was a scratch ahead of the Houston game last week, and Hernan Bernardello could be coming back into the mix. That could affect playing time for both of these guys next week. So again, they come with risks, but they're guys you can look at. As for the LA Galaxy, also on a double week next week, don't expect Keane, Donovan, or Pineda to be back for next Wednesday's game. I'd look at guys like Zardes and Franklin if you want to get that double week out of the LA Galaxy. But that said, one game from Robbie Keane or Landon Donovan is pretty good for your fantasy team. So you might want to keep those guys if they're already on your roster. Of course, the Galaxy don't have a game in this fantasy week, though. All right, I definitely want to remind everyone, you should check out the Disciplinary Report on MLSsoccer.com. Under the news tab this week, there are a lot of guys on yellow card warning. They pick up a yellow card this week, and they are suspended next week. I mentioned a few on the Impact, but also guys like Mike McGee, Aurelian Collin, Camilo, big names in MLS Fantasy, and those are just a few of them. So check that out. Also, I'll remind you one more time, if you miss Andrew Wiebe and you want to see him later in the week, he'll be on Brazil Bound. You can check that on MLSsoccer.com. If I missed anyone's question, hit me up on Twitter at Jason Saghini. I'll try to get to your question before the games on Wednesday night. That's all we have for starting lineup. Good luck to you. Enjoy the games this week.